As a small business owner, you often have your fair share of challenges. You may even feel you're the only one. But what if you could be connected with another small business facing similar challenges? Well, QuickBooks have done that with the Quick Round with QuickBooks Challenge. Two small business owners in the same room facing similar challenges, finding solutions and even giving each other advice. So let's find out what happened in today's Quick Round with QuickBooks Challenge.
I'm Emily Stockton of Shift Consulting. We offer tailored content solutions, both for large corporates and smaller consumer-facing companies. Our web address is www.shiftconsulting.co.za.
My name is Jennifer Morrison. I'm from Junior Jive Music and Movement Program for preschoolers. Junior Jive is a music and movement program specializing in taking the two things that children just love to do, music and movement, and using them as tools for their perceptual skills, their listening skills, their gross motor and fine motor skills. Our website is www.juniorjive.co.za.
Ladies, welcome to the Quick Round with QuickBooks Challenge. It's your edition today, your episode, totally dedicated to your challenges, which I guess we could sum up as both being staff related. Emily, perhaps you could paint a quick picture for us of Shift Consulting and what your particular challenge is at the moment.
Sure. So Shift Consulting is a tailored content solutions company. What we do is we ensure that messages land authentically, whether it's training, corporate communications, consumer-facing PR, anything from stakeholder engagements to advertising and creating advertisements, anything that needs to be communicated. Now that sounds quite straightforward, except that what I do specifically is quite niched. So I have experience in the drinks industry specifically, and then where I'm finding the most demand is based on my experience in the rest of Africa. Now, I'm not sure how to scale my business and keep up with the demand when my skill set is so niched. And while I realize I could train other people up to help me, A, my time is very limited in terms of being able to train people, and B, I'm nervous that I'm going to spend all this time and investment in training them and then they leave.
Okay, so very clear challenge there. Willing to train, willing to upskill, worried that people will leave. Jenny, you've been around in business for some 6 years or so with Junior Jive. Paint a quick picture for us, but you've got 14 staff members, so I'm sure you could pass on quite a bit to Emily. Before we get there though, what is it that's on your mind from a Junior Jive perspective?
I have a specific challenge also with people, with my team. In our small business environment and also in the financial challenges that we have in our economy at the moment, at the back of my mind, I'm always wondering, am I giving my staff enough? Am I giving my team enough? Because for me, I want to give them as much as I can, but as every small business owner knows, you only have so much to give. So that is my challenge, is where do I motivate them without giving them the big perks like big companies have?
When you talk about perks though, there's the monetary side of things and the monetary reward to staff versus other things. And Emily, if I'm hearing correctly or interpreting correctly, it seems to me that you're aware that even if you were to bring someone in and you could upskill them and share some of your knowledge to deal with the growing base of clients, you know you could remunerate them well, but you know also that that may not necessarily be enough to keep them.
Well, that's a huge challenge. I work with some fantastic companies and big brand names, so I know that people are attracted to that. That is why someone would want to come and work with me. I know that. The challenge I have is when I transfer my relationship, because that's essentially what I'm going to need to do, and kind of hand over the reins to somebody else to then engage with my clients, I need to know that those people are A, going to stay with me for a while, because I can't be introducing somebody new every second week, and B, that once the glam and the excitement over who these clients are wears off and the real work sort of kicks in, that they're going to stick it out, and then C, that they're not going to look at it and go, well, you know what, I could be doing a lot less and earning a lot more if I worked at a big corporate. So I really need to find someone that doesn't want to be a cog in a corporate machine and that really wants to get their hands dirty, get involved, make the relationships, and really work hard, and who finds fulfillment from that.
You're at a very early stage in the life cycle of a business. You're just coming out of that startup stage. Some would argue you're probably still in the startup stage. So you clearly have a risk appetite, because taking on a staff overhead is quite a responsibility. When you started out, Jennifer, how did you tackle that? How did you deal with the sense of, well, I'm going to upskill someone, I'm going to entrust them with representing my business and my brand? And how have you managed to keep a team of 14 people around, and you've been around for 6 years? What can you share with them?
It is risky, and you're right. As an entrepreneur, I think any risk we take in people is a risk. And I think the idea that I thought I could do was just invest in people and trust them, because that's all you can do. You can trust them, and you can instill that sense of, this is my passion. Do you want to come alongside me and have that passion with me? And see a sense of something more than myself. So in my business, we focus on the children, and we focus on educating the children as our core value.
Something that holds you together.
Yes, yes.
So that would mean then that you're saying to Emily, look for a particular type of person.
Yes.
As opposed to the skills set, because skills can be imparted.
Yes, absolutely.
Does that resonate at all, Emily? Does it give you a greater chance of hanging on to that person?
It absolutely does. And the other thing is, I mean, I would never want to hang on to someone and hold someone back. Throughout my working life, I've always invested heavily in the people that I've worked with. And so even when I was a manager of a team of people, we always all worked well together. So I'm not too concerned about that, but it's finding that person. That's the biggest challenge, because again, you know, you'll only really see what they're like once they're actually operating in the space.
Yes.
But if I understand your model correctly, you do put together teams of specialists and experts in different areas of business to deliver to the client.
I do.
There could possibly be that kind of person sitting in that team, people that you have worked with, so that you get to know them, you get to get a feel for whether you resonate and gel before you actually approach that person to be the person that essentially you're asking to come in and share in what you do every day. I mean, have you considered that as a route to take?
I have, and I consistently have my eye out wherever I'm going. So yes, I've got my ear to the ground, and I have put the word out to let people know that there are these opportunities coming up. I guess people also would need to be as kind of open to taking a bit of a risk as I have been.
What about this aspect, and we often hear this spoken about, but you're at an early stage in the business, you've been around more years, Jenny, and you may have considered this at some stage as well, because really what it boils down to in terms of both of the issues on your minds is motivating staff in a tough economic climate, being a small business, so it's not necessarily about that monetary incentive. But have you considered some kind of incentivization in terms of a commission or finder's fee on new business coming in? Jenny, for example, let's just stop for a minute with Junior Jive. I'm aware that you will offer a discount to a parent who perhaps puts both children, so there's a sibling discount. You get the money up front at the beginning of a term, ideally, from a parent for their children to attend the classes. So you know how much money is sitting in that kitty. Would you possibly look at the value of that discount being some kind of monetary incentive to teachers, because you were willing to part from it on your turnover anyway?
Yes, that's a brilliant way of doing it. I think that would really
Would that be
work.
something to consider?
Absolutely.
Would you have an appetite at this stage, Emily, or do you think it's too early in the life cycle of the business to offer some kind of monetary incentive but link it to getting more business in?
Well, I've been so fortunate. My biggest challenge is not getting business in. My biggest challenge is
servicing the business,
keeping up with the demand. So I'm actually at a point now where I'm going to start turning clients away, which nobody in their right mind wants to do. But I certainly won't take on someone that I cannot give, you know, my absolute best to. So I think my plan, or what I'm thinking along the lines of doing, is looking out for someone with a view to that person getting shares in my business.
Right, which would have been the next point. Some kind of maybe perhaps you start as a joint venture,
Exactly.
collaboratively.
Sure.
That's what I was going to mention to you. That's what we do at Junior Jive. We have a system where the teachers are able to be incentivized when they bring in new clients, like you mentioned, and then later on they can become part of the business. So we have a kind of a franchising kind of system.
I was about to ask.
And that when a person has the skills and the right attitudes, they can then come on as a business owner themselves and have their own clients underneath. So that would be some way of sharing that kind of business and then dividing the clients up. So you don't have to do it all yourself, because that is really difficult.
You mentioned the franchising type of model. Is it a franchise model? Because that would have been my next port of call, question-wise, would be to say, well, have you considered a franchise type of model where there's that sense of ownership from people whom you employ?
Yes, I have 4, I call them licensees, because they get a license from Junior Jive to run the brand and the model of Junior Jive in their own little business. So that's how I run it.
Is there some way in which, I mean, it would be quite innovative, I guess, in your particular line of work, where it's a service delivery and you're working with, it's your IP and experience that is really what you have to offer the client, but there might be something there that might be worth considering in terms of some vested interest?
Look, I think that because it's so niched and there's so few of us that have the experience that I have, we actually do collaborate. There are a network of us that we're all consultants. Most of us, we all have the same problem. So we have started collaborating more recently. And a year ago, there was a lot of resistance to, have you got a contact for this? And you could see the person had the contact, but they weren't going to give it to you. Yeah. As lovely as these people are, they just weren't. And so I took the plunge, actually. I literally said, here we go, guys. These are the contacts I have. Let's swap. And it worked incredibly.
Jenny, let's go back to Junior Jive's challenge just for a second, because something that occurred to me, I did go and take a look at the website, and you talk about educators, the specialized people, skilled people, who are literally the front-facing part of your business. They are interfacing with your clients every day. Have you thought about perhaps creating a profile for each of these teachers on the website as well, so they're not faceless, which then almost positions them to be marketing your business and brand at the same time, which helps to grow the business and could be seen as some form of perk from their perspective?
Thank you. That's a lovely idea. I definitely think that we will work on that. Thank you.
Emily, I know we haven't been able to solve your challenge. The reality is you probably will lose staff in the course of running your own business.
Yes,
I'm sure
I have.
Jenny will confirm that.
No, I can phone Jenny.
Yes,
she can help me get over the emotional
Have we at least
loss.
been able to give you a pointer in terms of don't get hooked on the skills, find the right person personality-wise, and you've got a greater chance of hanging on to them?
Certainly, I will definitely be focused on looking at people with the right attributes and the right character trait more than the qualifications and the pieces of paper.
Emily, we wish you all the best with Shift Consulting.
Thanks.
Jenny, we wish you all the best with Junior Jive. We hope you jive your way into
Absolutely.
the next 6 years or so. We hope to have you back in 6 years' time and find out how your business has done, Emily, and how you've grown and who's on your team. Thanks very much, ladies.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for having us.
That brings us to the end of this edition of the Quick Round with QuickBooks Challenge. Of course, our topic and theme for today was staffing related. How do you motivate staff in a tough economic environment when you don't necessarily, as a small business, have the resources to make that incentivization monetary? There are other things you can do by way of perks, and very often that relates to having people that have a certain type of attribute and characteristic whom you know will not just be looking at the rand value of that paycheck at the end of the month.